This is assembly video for the 32-inch EPP Slicko from rcplanebuilder.com. As with any kit, you want to take a look and make sure you have all the pieces needed to assemble the airframe. You should have a nose section, elevator and stab, horizontal rear fuse piece, 2 wing strut pieces, 2 wheel pants, 2 gear leg fairings, the carbon, this is all pre-cut, hardware package with all its contents, wing section with ailerons, upper and lower vertical fuse with rudder. These are going to be offered in various completion levels, this one being an ARF, almost everything's done for you. Okay, let's take a look at some of the things you're going to need to assemble this. For your work surface, some parchment paper. This will keep the EPP from sticking to your work surface if you get a little overage on the welder's glue and it seeps out. An X-Acto or utility knife. Of course, the most popular method of gluing up EPP is welders. Some T-pins or you could use painter's tape. And it's just to secure your flight control surfaces so that you can set your linkages properly and get everything neutral. You can use a little CA to speed the build up. While you insert your carbon trussing, you can just tack weld it basically with this. If you use a foam safe, a little bit of kicker. A Sharpie marker, your choice, or a pen, something to mark the location for the angles of the truss and where they attach. Some canned food or pop cans, just keep everything aligned. Tape measure, check your tail and make sure everything's aligned properly. If you're off a couple millimeters on the alignment, you can always compress the foam slightly to straighten it out, so it's not a necessity. These come in handy when gluing in spars. There's so much done on this one already though, I don't really think I'll need it. Alright, let's move on to the assembly. Okay, let's get started. You should have 4 pieces ready, and this is the first step. The horizontal fuse and wing and tail section and the nose section. Take your tube of welders and we'll just be laying across some quick beads. Don't have to be real thick. It's going to compress. Make sure it's lined up. Pull it back apart. That'll help it cure quicker. Okay, give that a couple minutes. While we're doing that, start on the next piece, which is the canopy piece. pull it apart and let that sit for a little bit. Put your cap back on. Okay, once your pieces are back together, move them around a little bit on here. Make sure everything's aligned properly. Nothing's sticking out over the side. Everything's nice and straight, and seam is nice and even. Then add some weight to the parts to keep them compressed. Once again, you can slide it slightly, that way if any of the welders oozes out, it won't stick to the work surface as much. Okay, that step's done. We'll just let that dry and set up for, I don't know, about 15-20 minutes, and we'll move on to the next step. Okay, it's had about 15-20 minutes to set up. We put some glue on the lower fuse, and we're going to install it now. We let this sit up a little bit, so it's kind of tacky. Just take your cans or pop cans or whatever you're going to use and put that alongside the fuselage. Make sure it's at a nice angle, perfectly straight. And we'll let this sit up for another 15-20 minutes before we start to put the carbon in. Okay, to keep this video moving along, we already put some welder's glue and let it tack up on our wing fences for the next step. You want to measure 6 inches out and a 1/2 inch back, and that's the measurement for your wing fences. It should be 6 inches on both sides, front to back. Keep them nice and straight. Move over to the other side. Next up, we'll install the wing bracing. We'll let this tack up for about 15-20 minutes. And we'll install the wing bracing, and I've already marked the locations for the rear trussing. Okay, we're going to glue in our struts for the wings, and we went 3/8 inch down and directly above the main wing spar, and a 1/2 inch back here, 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 and here. And we also marked where that fell over the wing fence and just made a slice down. If you slice too far down, don't worry about it. The welder's glue will seal it up and make it just like new. So we'll apply glue to the rods here, at the fences, and at the tips, and then we'll let that set up, and we'll give that about another 10-15 minutes. Then we'll proceed to the trussing for the tail. Okay, just to show you this one real quick. Put a little glue on this side of the truss because we're going to pull it back through, and we went in with the welders here and add a little bit at the tip and some wood cutter slice out for it to receive the other end. We're just going to pull that back and forth so that it gets into there really good on the lower fuse where it exits, and then pull it flush, slide it down, find where we made a little cut here, just roll it around a little bit, make sure it's got good coverage, and we'll let that set up. And we'll put our weight back on the wingtip, make sure it's nice and straight, and we'll do the other side. Okay, the next step is to install the carbon trussing for the tail. I've already marked the location points, and those should be four and a half inches, which would be here, 8 1/2, which would be there, 12 3/4, and 17 inches. And there should be 4 5 1/2 inch by 1 millimeter carbon rods for that, and 2 4 1/2 inch carbon fiber rods for the stable, the stab for the elevator. You can sharpen the edges or just pierce the foam with a toothpick or something. The main thing is you want to make sure that the carbon intersects each other. You might have to bow and bend it slightly, but you want to make sure that it intersects with each corresponding piece. Try to make sure it's not bowing, and make sure the lower vertical fuse is still straight. And we'll go over that once we're done installing these, make sure everything's still straight. Like I said, the main thing is you want to make sure that these intersect each other. Twist them around, make sure you got good coverage. And you can always go back and put a little dab of welders over where they intersect. Twist and pierce, and we'll do the 2 remaining for the elevator stab as soon as I can find them. also in this other bundle will also have one for the horizontal rudder stab. And try to keep everything symmetrical and check for straightness. You might get a little bit of bowing once you install, just straighten that out and put your weights back on, keep everything nice and flat. Okay, for the landing gear, we'll go into the hardware package and we'll take out the wheels and hubs, axles, etc. Should have two 7" by 2mm pieces of carbon rod. We'll go back, I believe it calls for 3/4 of an inch back and 1/2 inch up from the rear of the servo slot for the aileron. So it's 3/4 and about 1.5. And when they intersect, they should come out about 1 inch outside from the lower vertical fuse. So we're going to put those in right now. Slightly pierce and twist. You can sharpen them and that'll work as well. About 1 inch out. Pierce, twist. And we'll set these up and make sure the plane sits level with the landing gear down and adjust as needed. And we can put together the wheels and hubs, etc. And then you'll put on your wheel pants, etc. These will press fit. You could glue them if you want. And then just glue on to the axles. But you get the idea. I'm going to leave these off because I'm just going to run the wheel pants on here. Try and save a little bit of weight, and I mostly hand catch, but if you're more comfortable landing on a runway or something, do install the wheels. We'll get some glue on there and get that all set up, and then we'll turn over and get ready for the upper fuse. We'll just have to install the aileron servo next. Now, in an effort to save a little bit of weight, I'm leaving off the rear leg fairings, and I left off the wheels and hubs, etc. And I just mounted the wheel pants. I usually hand catch, and that'll help saving some weight. When we get to the step for mounting the motor, I'm going to skip the ply disc and the reinforcement pie pieces and just glue direct to it. But I'll outline how it mounts using the plywood disc and the stuff that comes with the kit. I'll leave this set up for a while and We'll turn it over and then we'll install the aileron servo and the upper fuse.